Right, good morning. Today's lesson will be on the digestive system. Right, the first two questions you can ask yourself will be, what are the organs in the digestive system? And the second question will be, how do the organs in the digestive system work together? Now, your body needs the food to grow and to work properly. When I say grow, it means even to the cell level, right inside your body. Now you can see over here, these are showing two cells, or in fact a cell being broken into two. Now in order to do that, this is what you call growth. In order to do that, you need the energy from the food and the material from the food to allow cells to grow, to multiply. Alright, and this is another picture about it. Now, so that we can work, right, or we can play, right, and we can do things properly. Now, the food you eat cannot be used as it is. It means you, for example, eat a piece of tomato. This tomato will not be going to your body as it is. It has to be transformed, changed into something, right? Something that your body can absorb. Now the food has to be chewed, chopped up, and broken down into simple substances before it can be used. Before it can be used by your body. Now, so when you eat something like this, of course, your stomach will not, the food will not be like this. It will look something like this, right? Something mixed up with the enzyme, chemicals, digestive juice, and so on. Now, this process is called digestion. Now let me explain what digestion simply means. It means, for example, the food you eat. Okay, we need glucose. Over here you can see glucose. Okay, for energy in our body. So food like, for example, bread, noodles, biscuits, they have carbohydrates, right? And these carbohydrates got to be taken out or broken down and taken out from bread, noodles, and biscuits. Okay, and you get glucose from there and let it go into your bloodstream. So similarly, for your meat, protein, which are used for bodybuilding, your cells need protein to create another cell, right? They must be broken down into very tiny, the tiniest part of protein called the amino acids. Then of course for fats, okay, to be broken down into fatty acids, to be absorbed into your circulatory system, to get all these nutrients into your body. Now let's take a look at the mouth. From the mouth, what can we see from here? Now the teeth in your mouth chew and grind food into smaller pieces. Now we have been doing that for years, but I hope from today's lesson you are able to understand that the function of the mouth is very important. Now let's take a look at your mouth across here. Now the four teeth, the top and at the bottom, they are called the incisors. Now the incisors act like scissors. Okay, you do biting. Just bite off a biscuit, bite off a piece of bread, just bite off like this. And we have four so-called sharper teeth at the side here, just after the incisors, and the top at the bottom. Right, for other mammals, carnivorous mammals, for example, the lion, the cats, they have sharper incisors. Okay, canine, sorry, they have sharper canine, and they're able to be used to tear meat. Okay, so similarly, what we do is when we have a piece of chicken wing, we bite at the side and tear it off right, using that way to get the meat into the mouth and start chewing them. And of course, we have the rest of the teeth are called the molars. Okay, back molars, these molars. Okay, usually right at the back of the teeth are the molars are called the wisdom teeth. All right, you only get it when you are probably from 18 until 21 years old. Okay, now what happens in the mouth, into smaller pieces, you start chewing them. Now what very important thing you need to know is that saliva is added, okay, automatically, right? You cannot just eat something and chew something dry. It cannot be swallowed easily through your alimentary canal. Now saliva is used to soften the food so that you can swallow it. Now for example, you must chew until something like this. Okay, I guess most of you would know it will look something like this, just like what happening here. Then it forms a kind of your tongue will just move it around, and it will form a kind of get the food all together. You call that bolus in a ball form, in order for you to swallow them. All right. Now let's take a look. These saliva at the same time now, from the mouth, the first digestion will take place. The saliva has a sort of digestive juice which help to digest the carbohydrates, okay, in a smaller form, but not totally, not up to glucose, right? Just enable it to cut it in, digest it, break it down into a smaller form, okay, just a little like that, all right, before you swallow it through. Now saliva are being produced from salivary glands, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. These are the area right inside your mouth, just above somewhere behind the palate, right underneath your tongue, right? These are, and it is being secreted very regularly. Now even at this moment when I'm talking, I can even feel my saliva coming out, all right, in the mouth. Now let's talk about the gutlet. The gutlet is also known as the esophagus. Now the partially digested food, okay, moves down a tube called the gutlet, right, into your stomach. This is the gutlet, or you call that the longer name would be called esophagus. Okay, now let's take a look at the short video over here and see how your food moved, okay, through the gutlet. The movement of this food down through your esophagus is called, where the muscle contracts itself, okay, and pushes the food down. It is called peristalsis. Peristalsis. Let's take a look. Let me adjust the screen for you.
When food is swallowed, it moves down a tube called the esophagus that connects your mouth to your stomach. The esophagus lies right next to another tube, the trachea, that takes the air you breathe to your lungs. You might choke if food got into the trachea, but fortunately, the body has a safety device that usually prevents this from happening. The opening to the trachea is guarded by a flap of tissue called the epiglottis that acts like a trap door. When you swallow, the epiglottis slams shut to prevent food from going down the trachea.
Now take a look at this part. The epiglottis is like a cover. When you swallow the food down, right, the bolus of food, okay, it covers up, prevents your food, okay, from getting into the trachea. It means the windpipe. The trachea is the windpipe. Now usually when your mother will tell you do not talk while you're eating. Now while you're talking, the epiglottis is open, right, because the lungs need to get some air to come out to enable you to talk. All right, so when you're talking, the epiglottis is at times open, close, open, close, and the food, you may get food choke, and right? This may result in some sort of choke and cough. Let's continue.
The journey of food through the esophagus is a short one, lasting only several seconds. But food doesn't just fall down the esophagus. In fact, even if we chose to eat and swallow upside down, food would still quickly make its way up to the stomach. The reason is that food is propelled through the esophagus, as well as the other parts of the digestive tract, by a series of muscular contractions called peristalsis. Peristalsis works a little like a tube of toothpaste. Squeezing the tube forces the paste out. Food moves through the digestive tract in much the same way. Muscles behind the food squeeze together, while muscles in front of the food relax. In this way, peristalsis forces food through the esophagus and other parts of the digestive tract.
Right, I hope you have a good understanding on this. Let me shut it down a little. Now, so as you can see, the muscles pushes the food down, and that includes water. So you can see baby lying down drinking. You don't see the milk trying to flow this way upwards, right? It goes straight to the stomach, helps the food or the milk to go straight to the stomach. Let's continue from here. Now let's go to the stomach. Right, stomach is an organ. Okay, it's the first what do you call, after the mouth is the next organ. Okay, whereby the food will land inside. Now, usually stomach we have this acid called the hydrochloric acid. It helps in the digestion, the first digestion of protein, for the food with protein. All right, let's take a look. The stomach, in the stomach, the food is crushed further and mixed with other digestive juices. So the food now looks like a thick soup. I hope you can imagine that. Now let's take a look. This is your stomach. Of course, you can see the top part over here. It is where the esophagus or the gullet, all right, coming in. The food goes inside here, mixes with the juice, all right, further digests some of the food. Now then it moves out through this part to the small intestine. Now this part that connects the stomach to the small intestine is called the duodenum, right? In which you may have to learn these the function of these in your secondary school days, not at this moment. So the food enters into your stomach will look something like this. Okay, it no longer look like the hamburger or the tomato inside. It is mixed, and usually those food which you are not which you have not chewed properly, you will stay as big lumps. Okay, some lumps inside, milky lumps and so on. Right, so that was the stomach, and now the food goes through the stomach, through the duodenum and into the intestines. Now let's take a look at the intestine. Let's start with the small intestine. In the small intestine, small digestive juice are combined with food. It means there's still digestive juice to help, especially in the beginning part of the intestine. Let me take a look where I can point. All right, beginning part, before it goes down, beginning part, there are still some digestion taking place. Okay, and the digestion, while taking place, at the same time there are some absorption of food taking place too. So around the beginning of the small intestine, digestion of food would have is completed right over there. Of course, those food which are not properly chewed, which comes in big lumps and so on, right inside there, they cannot be reached by the digestive juice to further break them down. They will just continue to pass on, okay, pass through the whole intestine, right? Only the part which have been chewed, digested, right, they can only be absorbed into your blood system. So these food substances are very small now, right? They can pass through the wall of the intestine. Now let's take a look. The blood then carries the digested food into different parts of your body. That is why you say that the circulatory system is also called the transportation system. It transports the food, water, whatever nutrients you have absorbed from your body, okay, throughout, okay, throughout the whole body for the rest of the parts of your body, the other organs like your eyes and brain and the bones and the muscles, where they need these food substances, all right, through the blood system. So the digestion takes place and absorption takes place in the small intestine, right, and goes into your blood system. Now, something interesting about our the alimentary canal, what you can see over here is the small and large intestine, they are not just no, you get a whole lump of rope like that and throw inside your abdomen. Now they are being attached or hung like strings, hung from strings, like something like strings, okay, attached, okay, upwards here, and holds the intestine up so that the food can move easily through the small intestine and also the large intestine. Alright, you can see it's being hung somewhere like this. Now I just show you a very small interesting picture. Now it's hung by these materials, or these what do you call that, what they call these mesenteries, hung, and at the same time the blood vessels are also attached and goes through the intestine, okay, through this mesenteries. Okay, it looks like this. It is being hung like that. Now this is the cross section of the small intestine. You can see many small looks like hair-like structures, okay, all through inside here. Now these small hair-like structure helps to increase the surface of the small intestine inside. It helps to absorb more nutrients in a faster way into the bloodstream. Now, how does it look like? It looks like this way. Yeah? The food particles will fall into here and goes inside the villi. Okay, these are the parts here through and into the blood system. Okay, into the blood system. Of course, we have the arteries and we have the veins right inside. Right, these are called the capillaries. Very small blood system. The food will goes inside this way. Now let's take a look at a very simple video. Watch it and see how food absorption takes place.
By the time food reaches the villi, it's a soup of partially digested enzymes and nutrients. Whether it's a fat, protein, or carbohydrate, each type of nutrient is disassembled by its own specific enzyme. In the cell membrane, embedded enzymes complete the breakdown of nutrients, preparing them for absorption. A carrier protein helps glucose and sodium move together through the outer membrane. Once inside, nutrients diffuse across the cell. However, to move through the inner membrane, some nutrients require energy. From the villus, most nutrients enter the bloodstream for transport throughout the body, but fats use the lymph system instead. With all major nutrients absorbed, the digestive soup is ready for final packaging in the large intestine or colon.
Okay, it's very short and interesting. Now let's carry on from here. After, I hope you have some good understanding how absorption takes place inside the small intestine. Let's move on to the large intestine. Okay, the large intestine, undigested food is brought, okay, to the large intestine. What do you mean by undigested food? It means the food will just continue to go through your whole body, just go through, right? Digested food, absorb. Not non-digested food or the undigested food, okay, we just continue to go through here, right? And at the same time, in your large intestine, most of the water is removed, okay, from here, right? Same thing through the blood system, okay. From the large intestine, it goes into your blood system, okay, the water, all right. And the undigested food will continue to pass through the body, pass through the large intestine, and out of the body as waste, okay, through the part, the organ part we will call the anus, where it controls your bowels, okay. The anus just open up the muscles, control bowels, and that's how we what do you call it, we allow the bowel movement to get out of our body. Now this is how the large intestine would look like. The connection from the small to large intestine is from the cecum, somewhere here. Okay, let me just point to you. Okay, from here, then it just goes up, right? Of course, this large intestine is also being hung, okay, hung up in the body by the mesenteries, okay, and go through here, water being absorbed, and some minerals are also being absorbed. Again, goes through here, and before it eases out from your body, it's being stored here at the right time. Okay, let's say there's sufficient bowels, the undigested food are being stored here, the waste being stored over here, okay, right over here, then it will be released through the anus. Now this is how the food from your mouth goes down all the way, okay, digested, absorbed, alright, then water is being absorbed in large intestine, and it gets out of your body. So each organ in the digestive system has a special job to do. However, the different organs must work together, right? You just cannot say, I'm going to swallow a piece of hamburger without biting them, all right? Without doing the ingestion. It means start biting and start getting it smaller first, cutting down. It will be quite tough, right? You will be suffering from indigestion, right? So swallowing a piece of tomato right into your body, right? It won't work this way. So you got to, the different organs in your body can start working together, biting, digestion, movement, absorption, and so on. Then you get the right amount of food, the water for the body, for growth and for energy. Let's take a look at probably the last two videos to sum up how, okay, the digestion should take place, okay, in a complete manner. Right, this will be in silent mode. These are the parts. Okay, the oral cavity, esophagus. Now, some esophagus are being spelled with just begins with ESOP. The original spelling was this OESOP. Right, esophagus, the stomach. Right, the procedure is going to be this way. Yeah, you must try to remember. The small intestine first, large intestine. Through, of course, this place we have not learned about it. Just now we just spoke about the anus, but the rectum is just a storage place before the anus. Okay, now let's continue to see this animation. Now this is called ingestion. You start biting, cutting them. Your tongue will be used to help to roll, move, and form a bolus, where you can swallow them easily through the esophagus, through what this process they call the pushing the muscle, they call peristalsis. Right, this is the part where enter the stomach. Now over here, don't worry about this. These are the liver. These are the liver. The liver also helps in a little with digestion by getting some digestive juice out to the duodenum. All right. Where it helps further in further digestion, just after the stomach. Now the food is mixed in the stomach with the juice. Now that's the duodenum. Of course, the different part of the there are names for the small intestine. The jejunum, the ileum. Okay, over here, the jejunum is usually the upper part which are being hung upwards, and the ileum is slightly lower, the lower parts. Okay, then where how the food start flowing. Okay, of course, at the same time, the liver help to secrete the correct digestive juice. Okay, into the duodenum. Look at here how it's being connected. Right now, I want to show one very interesting gland. Okay, gland is some sort of a gland, some sort of what do you call that? An organ or so that contains the juice. Okay, it creates and contains the juice, and it helps to secrete this juice. It means manufacture the juice and get this juice into the system. Now the gallbladder secretes the juice, digestive juice, one of the digestive juice called bile, B-I-L. Now bile is used to mix inside the intestine, this part, the duodenum, mix into the food. Now bile will help to break down fats. The bile, which is yellowish or greenish in color, will help to break down fats in the body, all right, into smaller substances, and help to spread out, okay, spread out the fats, all right, into smaller substance, and later on continue in the system, and later on it will be broken down to fatty acids. I'm quite amused with this. All these over here looks like spaceship to me. It's right inside, right? It's just an animation right inside the going into the small intestine, the villi. Okay, so the epithelium is just the layer covering the villi where the absorption takes place. That food particle must be so small into glucose from amino acid or fatty acids. It can go through here. Alright, it should go through here. Now this is your blood system. Maybe I'll just get it back a little. Okay. Now this is through the food has gone into your blood system. Now blood system also means that there is water inside your veins, your fats, blood capillaries, right? Water, and also this thing, what do we call this thing? Yes, the red blood cell, right? All mixed into, transport round into the whole body. And it moves up to the large intestine. Okay, we absorb. Okay, take a look. Very, very interesting. Absorbs water. And at the same time, in large intestine, what happens? It manufactures vitamins. It produces mucus. It forms and expels feces. I think the spelling of feces is wrongly spelled here. Right, so somehow it forms everything. It makes everything absorb the water and makes everything into the bowels where you have to pass motion from there. Okay, that's all. I hope you really understand, alright, this part. Now let us see the last video over here.
Singapore's on the move.
We just skip the advertisement, sorry.
The problem is, some of us aren't.
Okay.
Mark,
I'll walk away for a while. Just enjoy the sound of this
ready.
cartoon.
I'll be there in a jiffy, Peter. The human body gets energy in the nicest way from delicious meals like this. But a meal is only raw material. The body has to extract the energy from the foodstuffs by digesting them. When we chew our food, it is the first step in the long process of digestion, a process which transforms matter into energy. The food is about to travel down the esophagus, the tube that leads to the stomach. Meanwhile, in the nucleus of a nearby nerve cell,
Chief! The message is on its way!
Huh? You lot are asleep on your feet. Can't you see that some food is on its way down already? Send out an immediate order to the muscles in the wall of the esophagus. Let's get them moving!
Immediate orders for the muscles in the wall of the esophagus!
I don't know what these
about time you lazy louts go down to some work, isn't it?
Come on, you loafers. I need you wide awake for this. Now! 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
At the same time, the food you're eating. Vitamins. I like the salt. I miss the salt. Let's go into the stomach. These are the esophagus muscles, right? Getting together, pushing. I can see now. Pushing here.
10
Push it down
kilojoules
into the
fat, 5
stomach now.
kilojoules protein, 5 kilojoules starch. Very nice. There's some sugar, plenty of it too. Some more fat, a few units of vitamin D. That's good. You can let that all through, it's fine, but there's no need to rush. We don't want a blockage. It's bad enough the way these children poop their food. Clear the way to the stomach. Pardon me.
The stomach, with its gastric juices, is like a processing factory where all the jumbled elements of the food are separated and classified. Fat, fiber, minerals, vitamins, starches, sugars, proteins. All the ingredients of Jumbo's lunch are broken down and dissolved in the gastric juices.
The food is arriving. When digestion begins, we're going to need a lot more juice. We'd better increase the rate of flow immediately.
Hello! Hi!
And now we're going to need all the gastric enzymes, I think. Calling all gastric enzymes, calling all gastric enzymes. Report for duty immediately.
Where are they headed, Professor?
They're off to the stomach, my child, in the very devil of a hurry because they're needed. When duty calls, those enzymes drop everything and scramble.
Let them get on with their digestion by all means, but they could show us some consideration. Our oxygen is precious. It's an imported commodity after all.
Hormones, small but fast acting. Their calling in life is to chivvy the gastric enzymes along when they need it. Look over there.
Breaking down of the food. Right? Breaking down into smaller pieces, but they're still the same substance.
Pepsi milk is my speciality. You're supposed to process protein. I thought you knew that, dear. Come on, let me take that off your hands. How silly of me. There. hard-working enzymes take a break from their digestive tasks, but it's not long before they're inundated again and toil to get on top of their workload at last.
Peptides, amino acids, and coagulated milk. It all seems to be in order. And far too much sugar, as usual. Look at all the fat he's asking for indigestion. Right, open the pyloric sphincter and clear the way to the small intestine.
Hey, you, where do you think you're going?
Oh, us, officer. We're in Colibacteria. We live in the small intestine, officer. Yes, officer, it's down in that direction, but I think we'd best be getting along now, so goodbye.
They claim to be E. coli bacteria, but they remind me of salmonella. Wait! You bacteria! Come back here, I want to see your papers. That's odd. I could have sworn.
Okay, really hope that there's some sort of understanding, and you get interested in finding out more about the digestive system yourself. You can read more about it, you can Google, look at the other YouTubes and so on, and get used to the process and to understand. Right? Next, we're going to have a brief summary. Alright, in the digestive system, we have the parts or the organs: mouth and gutlet, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, of course the rectum and the anus. Now the mouth chews food and the digestive juice and the saliva helps to digest food slightly. Now next, the esophagus or the gutlet transfer the food from the mouth to the stomach, and from stomach it digests the food with